Assalamu alaikum guys, welcome to area of parallelograms. This is chapter 9 lesson 6. Super easy lesson inshallah. It won't take but a few minutes to do lecture and then you go off to your classwork or homework rather. So the questions or rather the instructions are just to determine the area. So in the area of a parallelogram, okay, parallelogram, you've got area is equal to BH. Understand that the B stands for base. Base is basically the length of your parallelogram. And then the H is how high it is. Now the height of a parallelogram, you always look for the right angle. And you can see here that I've got that little red dotted line. Sometimes it's on the inside of the shape, sometimes it's on the outside. So it just depends. So in this case, all you have to do is multiply both numbers, the base times the height, and do your math, right? So it's 17.5 times 7.5. And remember, we're multiplying decimals. So go ahead and do your math on the side. 17.5 times 7.5, you should get 131.25. 131.25. Now we're talking about feet and we're talking about area. So final answer is feet squared. Now this one is not asking you to write an equation, but I do prefer for you to write an equation. Now the next problem, you've got a parallelogram, the base is 8.5 meters, and the height, notice that the height is on the outside, but they're telling you, here's the right angle. The minute you find the right angle, that stands for the height of the parallelogram. So let me tell you a little bit so you can see my math workout. So here we go. Area is equal to BH, base times height. Area is equal to 8.5, and let me see that, write that clearly, 8.5 times 4 1/5. And go ahead, we're multiplying fractions, right? Remember, in the previous one, we're dealing with decimals, so answer in decimal form. Here, we're dealing with fractions, so make sure you answer in fraction form. We need to convert everything into fraction form. So 8/2 is the same thing as 17/2. 8 times 2 plus 1. So area is equal to 17/2. And then the 4 1/5 is the same thing as 21/5. So 21/5. Now, if you can cross simplify, but in this case, we cannot. So we're going to multiply numerator times numerator. 17 times 21 should give you 357. 357. And then 2 times 5 is 10. All right. So I've got area is equal to, and I'm just going to bring it up here so you can see it, 357 over 10. So ask yourself, how many tens in 357? There's a total of 35. Okay. So 35. How much is left over? 7. And what are we dividing by? 10. So it's 35 and 7/10. And we're talking about meters. Don't forget that it's meters squared. Okay? Now, we're going to do more of those. Determine the shaded area or unshaded area. Depends, right? So it says determine the shaded area. And when we're talking about shaded area, we're talking about the red part. Okay? So notice here, they're starting to incorporate more than one lesson together. You've got a parallelogram that measures on the base 43 yards, and the height, remember it's on the outside, is 35 yards. However, on the inside, they have a rectangle. So be careful because sometimes it can be switched. It can be a rectangle inside a parallelogram or a parallelogram inside a rectangle. So pay attention to that on your worksheet. So since we're trying to figure out how much is the shaded area, I take the area of the parallelogram and subtract it by the area of the rectangle. So I'm going to write here my note. Area is equal to parallelogram minus rectangle. Okay, now remember, area of a parallelogram is base times height. Area of a rectangle is length times width. So my base and my height of my parallelogram are 43 and 35. The length and width of my rectangle is 21 and 7. So 21 times 7. And if you do your math, 43 times 35, you should get 1,505. So 1,505. And then if you multiply 21 times 7, it should give you 147. Go ahead and subtract. Once you find the difference, that's what the shaded area is. So you should get 1,358. What are we talking about? Yards. And we are talking about area, so it's squared. And this is it, guys. So you should have an easy go at doing your homework. You might be able to finish it today and submit it before the night is over, so you have no homework. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to come to class, inshallah. See you in class. Assalamu alaikum.